Hello and welcome to episode 171 of the Mouse Makes Knitting podcast. My name is Mandy, sometimes known as Mouse, and this is where I share my crafty time with you. There was no podcast last week, and I know I warned you that there may not be. I realised far too late that last week was actually my 4th podiversary, as they call it. So I thought we ought to mark that in some way, and I've decided what we'll do is we'll have a giveaway. I think as it's my 4th anniversary, I'm going to give 4 patterns away, and I will get you to post like a keyword in the comments underneath if you want to enter. I'll have a think. Oh, sorry, seagulls. Completely blown my mind again. Let's make that the word, seagull. If you would like to enter for the pattern prize, there will be 4 of them. Put seagull in the comments below. Right. That was fortuitous, wasn't it? I am wearing my bubble cardigan by Stephen West, which I finished after I spoke to you last. The colours are merino nylon. It's a set that I dyed up myself. The black is acrylic. It's Yarn Smith's Create DK black. And I have no problem mixing wool and acrylic. I just make sure that if I wash, or when I wash, not if, I do of course wash my clothes, I treat it as if it was all wool. You can tell I'm out of practice, can't you? So this is it. I'm very pleased with it. It fits quite nicely. I managed to restrain myself from casting off too soon, so it's a nice length. The pattern is the Bubble Sweater by Stephen West. I don't remember if I said that. I did short sleeves. The pattern has long sleeves. It's not terribly size inclusive. This is the largest size. And I have a 50-inch bust or thereabouts. I think that's the size I made. My bust isn't quite 50 inches, but I think that's the size I made. It was the largest size in the pattern anyway. It doesn't go down very low and it doesn't go up very high. And that's about the only negative I can say about it. I loved knitting it. I love the way it looks. There are loads of different things that you could do with the bubbles. You could do them in a variegated yarn and the rest of it in a plain. You could do it in 2 different colours, so your bubbles were one colour and the main colour was something contrasting. It's quite a versatile pattern. The only thing that I can say about it negatively is that it isn't terribly size inclusive. But yeah, I'm pretty pleased with it. Okay, all the patterns that I mentioned will be linked down below. Here we go, the words are leaving me again, people. Right, I'm going to show you some things that I have been working on. My process at the moment is to pull from my little pot 2 whips and work on them throughout the month. 1 garment and 1 blanket. I have got other things that I work on in between. I've got some socks on the needles. Let's not talk about those. I just pulled out my March socks I'd planned to make 2 pairs each month. This is the first pair for March. I'd got 1 sock finished. I thought I was down to the heel on the second sock, and when I pulled it out yesterday, all I'd got was the rib. So that was a disappointment. But we're not going to talk about those until they're finished. Right, so blanket and a garment each month, and then I have cast a couple of things on. I'll explain about that when we get there. The blanket that I pulled out this month is called the Meow Blanket by Rosina Payne. And when you saw it last, I was there. This is the bottom. I'm holding it upside down to create suspense. Are you feeling suspended? And since then, I have done this much. So that's where it was. I finished that pattern repeat, did another flower, and then I'm almost done with the cats. There's a few more rows to do. It looks really good on camera. It doesn't look quite that good close up. The reason being, I think, this is all done with scraps. This corally pink is thicker than these two, and so this looks neater. These look a bit gappy to me anyway. I don't know if you can see that. And also, I don't know what's going on. This is my first mosaic crochet project. Did I say it was mosaic crochet? I don't think I did. I'm pretty sure I didn't. It's mosaic crochet, everybody. My beginning edge, because what you do is you work from this side to that side every row. So you break your yarn and you go back to the beginning of the row for the next row. This side, I think you can see, it's got a bit of a wobble going on. The other side is lovely and square, but this side goes in a bit. Now, I don't know if that's because this pink yarn was thinner, quite considerably thinner than the others, or whether my tension got a bit tighter, but I can block it square. It's only to go on the seat of my chair here, so it's not really. I mean, it was a practice piece for another mosaic crochet that I want to do probably next year now. But yeah, I'm really pleased with it, apart from the fact that I've had a bit of a wobble, but as I say, I think I can block that out. It's 100% acrylic. I will steam block it and I think it'll be fine. But yeah, hopefully, and I say this all the time, don't I? Hopefully next time you see this, it'll be finished. But there isn't that much to do. This centre section, I've got to finish the cat's heads, and there's a couple of rows above them, and then you repeat these 3 pattern repeats. You can't say you repeat these pattern repeats, can you? That's very poor English. Are you glad I'm back? I have to repeat this section, and I'll do it backwards. So that one, then that one, then that one. I'm sure everybody knows what I'm talking about. I'm just not articulating very well, am I? When I first started doing the mosaic crochet, if you've never done it before, you end up with ridges on the back, and I didn't like that. So I had a look on YouTube and I discovered how to get rid of the ridges, essentially. So the back looks like this. There is a way to do it so that the back is like a negative of the front so that it would be reversible, but I haven't learnt that yet, and I think that may still be a little beyond me. So that's neat enough. I'm happy with that. I was moving my stitch marker. That's what I was doing. So I've done quite a lot of work on this. I have enjoyed it very much. My wrist has not enjoyed it quite as much. I'd hoped to have the cats section finished by the time I showed it to you, and I just couldn't manage it. My wrist got very bad tempered, and it limits the amount of time that I can work on it in one go. I have to sort of ration myself a bit. Okay, but that will definitely be finished, possibly by next week, but definitely by the end of the month, which is a good thing because I've cast on 2 new blankets. We'll talk about that in a bit. The other pattern that I pulled out to work on is this one. It's a cardigan. It's by Sirdar and it's in their Jewel Spun Aran. And it's number 10720. And I've done quite a lot on this as well. But I am still on the back. It's knit in pieces and then seamed. And I'm on the back. So I've got this much. I was there before. And I've done that much. I'm close to finishing the back. There's another 17 pattern repeats, I think. I worked it out to be. And wouldn't it be nice if this was my fun thumbnail, but it won't be. It'll be me pulling a face. Yeah, so that's coming along. I've really kept this. We've had some really, really nice weather. It's been more like early summer than early spring. It's been sunny and warm. The wind's been a bit cold, and the temperature's dropped at night. Obviously, once the sun's gone, the temperature didn't hold, but it's been lovely. And so I've been keeping this for when I sit outside in the afternoon with a cup of coffee, smothered in Factor 50, even though it's the beginning of April, and knit in the sun for a bit, which I think has been doing my mental health the world of good. My physical health was not great, as you know, and then my mental health has been a bit as sort of following on from that, I think, because of that. So I've done some things to try and I don't know, made some lifestyle changes, I suppose, to try and kind of like boost my mood. And one of the things I decided I was going to do was, if it was sunny, even if it was cold but sunny, I was going to put on a jumper and sit outside for half an hour and just get some natural daylight and remind myself that spring is coming, summer is coming. Anyway, because of that, because it's been so nice, I thought it's time to do that thing that we do, we ladies. Put my winter stuff away and get my summer dresses out. So I did that, and the very next day the weather changed, and since then it has been gloomy with probably temperatures almost 10 degrees lower than we had, and we are currently under a weather warning for rain and flooding. So if you live in the UK, I am very sorry. Please accept my most abject apology, because the summer has gone away and it is entirely my fault. I did it. I ruined it for everybody. I'm very sorry. I hope it will come back again. I hope that wasn't it for the year like it was the other year. Hopefully it will come back again. Anyway, all that to say, this has been my sitting outside knitting. I don't need the pattern. It's a 4-row pattern repeat. It's very simple to memorise. So I've just been sat outside listening to my talking book, listening to some birds. I've had some really good talking books lately. I can't for the life of me. Oh, I listened to a couple of Nora Roberts books. I like Nora Roberts because they're kind of, well, she writes in various different styles, but whatever the style, I find that I get very invested in the characters. And the one I'm listening to at the moment, and again, I can't remember what it's called. Something about badly behaved women, I think. Anyway, also a book that I am very invested in the people and sit and listen to until my earbuds go flat. One of the other things I did, I said I've made some lifestyle changes. I'm trying exercising every day, only for sort of 10 minutes, 15 at the most. I'm a bit limited by my mobility and what have you, but it is helping me get up and get engaged, I suppose, with the day. And I've been looking at what I eat. I'm back on a kind of a calorie deficit diet, so it's not some mad diet. I'm just trying to expend more energy than I consume, and it seems to be working. I've lost a few pounds, a handful of pounds, literally. I can't say I feel any better for it yet, but mentally I feel better for it. I feel like I'm doing stuff to help myself. So, hopefully, I will be back onto a normal schedule now. Right. Oh yes, I cast some new things on. I think this is going to be quite a short episode. I am sorry. The trouble is, I'm working on these whips to try and get them cleared. Which is all going to have gone to pot in a few weeks because I'll be casting a load more on. But at the moment, I'm trying to clear whips. So I'm working on the same things for a month, which means I haven't got a lot to talk about. Except that this week, I've cast on some new things. One of the new things I've got to cast on is a balaclava for Ewan. If you've been here for a while, you'll know that my youngest son Ewan takes part in, he belongs to a history group that does, it's like a living history group. They do World War One. If I say it's reenactment, people think that everybody's running around pretending to be soldiers, and it's not that. They did a big show in Rhyl last weekend in North Wales, where there were over 600 of them. And they try and portray a kind of a time capsule. So Ewan's group was doing, the light did something weird then. Like a battalion tailor's shop in World War One. So they're all dressed in World War One uniform, and the guy's got his little hand crank sewing machine, and he was doing alterations and repairs for people who were there with their groups. So it is like walking into a time machine and going back into, in their case, World War One. There were some people doing the Napoleonic Wars, some doing World War Two. I don't know any other way to describe it than they live for the weekend as if they'd gone back in time to whichever period in history they're recreating. And this time Ewan was doing World War One. And Rhyl is not very far from the coast in North Wales. As I said, the temperature's been quite cold at night because it is still early in the year, and the wind was coming off the sea. And Ewan's first night was spent under just a fly sheet of a tent, no inner. So just a fly sheet that finished about 18 inches off the ground. Just perfect for all the wind and the cold to blow in on the people who were trying to sleep underneath it. And he'd bought a balaclava that he described as being made out of barbed wire. So one of the things I have to cast on is a nice soft balaclava for Ewan for the next time he does a weekend event where he's sleeping over, so that he doesn't have to wear wire wool all around his face. I feel I've been very tangenty today, and it's only 20 minutes in, and I think I've been on 2 or 3 massive tangents already. Right. As you may know, I'm quite fond of a Stephen West pattern. And he is running from, I think it was the 1st of April to the 15th of May, Westknits Stashbust along. I'm trying to get the name right, and I think that's what it's called. And of course I couldn't resist. So I looked at some patterns that I had, and I looked at some patterns that I didn't have, because there was a discount for patterns, certain patterns, I think, not all his patterns. But anyway, I bought some patterns, is what I'm trying to tell you. And I have cast on 2 new blankets. One of them I already intended to cast on and make. And the other one, this one that I'm about to show you here, I had no intention of casting on, but then ended up doing so. And along with the rules, at least 50% of the yarn that you use must come from stash. Well, this is all coming from stash. So this is the Brioche Chevron blanket. This is my second attempt at it. Something untoward happened to the first one, and I ended up ripping it all back to the I-cord and starting again. So it's going to be a reversible blanket. It's not going to be huge. It's, I suppose, sort of lap blanket size. The pattern is written for DK or worsted, and I'm using fingering weight. So it's going to be smaller, and I've gone down in needle size to relevant. I was going to say responsible needle size. That's not what I meant at all. A relevant needle size for fingering weight yarn. So it's going to be quite a bit smaller than intended. The yarn that I'm using as the main colour, this is a dark brown. Ooh, oh no. That's fallen down the black hole that's the side of my chair. I'm going to have to rescue that to try and show you. Yeah, this is a dark brown. It's Yarn Smith's merino sock. And it's chocolate brown, which is 2K080. This is not only from stash, but it is, if you like, reclaimed yarn, because this was in my pressed flowers cardigan that was not coming out at all well, wasn't doing the yarn that I wanted to showcase in it any favours at all, so I pulled it down, which has given me, in total I had 400 grams of the dark brown. Now I've got to rescue. I might get my arm stuck. Don't laugh if I get stuck. Hang on. No. Really, I should turn off, shouldn't I? This is a very old knitting needle that I never use for knitting, but I use it for catching things. Aha! I have it. Oh no. Wait, let's go around the other. Okay. Let's pretend none of that happened. Yes, so for the contrast colour, I'm using my Advent from last year. My adventure around the UK Advent. But if I've worked it out rightly, I can only use 20 of the 24 minis because of the yardage of my main colour. So I have chosen the 20 that I want to put in, that I can make sort of not fade from one to another. Oh, now I'm in a terrible mess. Kind of move from one to the other nicely. I've just joined the second one in. So that's the first one, and I've literally got, I think, one row. Oh, that's knitted in. Just got one row of the next colour in. But if I hold it up like this, is that rubbish? I think that's rubbish. I don't think you can see that well at all because the light is. No, we're not gonna pursue that line because I've got the blind up to get maximum light in, and I've still had to put the big light on because it was too dark. It still looks dark. The curse of lighting when you are a podcaster, and particularly when you are a podcaster who wears glasses. Because I did try ring light, but I could not cope with how it reflected back out of my glasses. So we compromise and do the best we can with what we've got. So I told you I'd pulled it down because something untoward had happened. Well, something untoward happened again. I'm not entirely sure what, if I'm honest. But I don't know if you can see in there, here, it's all gone somewhat horribly wrong. But you know what? I'm pretending we don't know about that. I'm pretending that I cannot see that. Someone I know, and I can't remember who it is, but someone I've watched, I don't even remember if it's one of my friends. The sun's going to come out now. I don't remember if it's one of my friends or just a podcast that I watched. Puts a button over mistakes so that you can't see them. And I think I may be doing that. I may put one of those made with love thingies on it. I can't even find it myself now. Where's it gone? I'll do something to disguise it anyway, because there it is. I'm not pulling it down again. And as part of a whole blanket, it's like maybe 3 stitches that have got out of order and caused some chaos. I'm just going to try and wind this back a little bit before I make any more mess with it. Sun is trying to come out. You can tell because now there's like, I look like the Phantom of the Opera again. While we're on the subject, you might have noticed, you might not, I've coloured my hair. Yes, Sarah, all of it. For years, I've been doing my roots. There's a story. I'll show you the other blanket in a minute. There's a story. Okay. About 10 years ago, I started to notice some grey hairs, and so I thought, I'm not ready to be grey. and I bought a thing, do it yourself highlighting kit, and it had a comb thing with it, and you were supposed to just comb it through your hair. I know there's loads of you out there who know exactly where this is going. You just comb it through your hair and then you have beautiful highlights. Well, I did that, and when I'd washed the stuff out and dried my hair, I did not have beautiful highlights. I had like yellow patches, like some kind of piebald horse. They were just like clumps all over the place. And I spoke to my friend. In fact, I put on a woolly hat and I ran to my friend who was at work at the time, and I pulled my hat off and went, "What can I do about this?" And she went, "Ooh." So anyway, long story short, for years I have been doing my roots with a semi-permanent. I found a dye that was as close to my natural hair colour as possible, and I've been doing my roots, and then when it washes out and the roots come through, I do the roots again. They changed the formula and it was far too dark, far too red. I wasn't very happy with it, and I thought, well, maybe I'll just stop doing it. But I let my roots grow till they were about an inch long so that I could see how much grey there was now. Guys, there was too much. My plans of going grey gracefully went very swiftly out the door. So I thought, what am I going to do? And I spent about a week finding a hair dye that was as close to my natural colour as possible. And my natural colour is a bit tricky because it comes through, well, it comes through grey now apparently, but it comes through the bits that aren't grey, sort of a mouse browny blonde, and then as the light gets to it, it gets this kind of what my mother called a brassy tone to it. So sort of a gingery, blondie, I don't know, brassy, I suppose. So I found a hair dye that was as close to my natural colour as I possibly could, as it used to be before I started growing my own tinsel for Christmas. And this is it, really. So I cut 4 inches off it and I coloured it. And I'm a bit happier about it now. But now, of course, I've got to keep dyeing it, haven't I? So, yeah. And hopefully they won't change the formulation of this one so it doesn't look right. And this is about as close as I can get to my natural colour. And I know that because I have a piece of my hair that I cut before I started colouring it. And I'm such a weirdo. I'm sure I'm like notorious because I go around shops with my piece of hair looking at dye boxes and going, oh no, that's not right. But this is almost exactly the colour of my natural hair. So that's why I might look a bit different. Blanket. This is the blanket that I had intended to cast on, but I've done it a bit sooner because of Stephen West's Westknits stashbust thing. I won't actually enter either of these things because I never get round to doing that. But it is an excuse to make it. This is, oh, and I'm in the park. Oh, why do I do that? Why did I do that? I'm in the middle of a row, but it doesn't matter because it's quite long. I can still show you. This is a Painting Waves blanket. Can you even see that? Not really, it's not being very cooperative. It's curling up a bit. This again is written for DK or worsted weight, and I'm using fingering weight held double and what is supposed to be, what is marketed as a DK, but I'm holding it double because it is very thin. This is James C. Brett. Shh. And I'm trying to remember, I thought I'd saved the ball band. Oh no. Here's one that's still got the ball band on. It's SH53. I think it's 100% acrylic, or is it 80% or 20% wool? It's the plain grey colour. Yes, 80% acrylic, 20% wool. And I'm holding it double for my main colour. Again, it was all in stash because I had been making a cardigan out of it. I'd been making the Traveller Shell by Andrea Mowry. And then for these contrast sections, I'm using a mini held double, finger and weight mini held double, and I'm just using it for one section. And the yarn that I'm using is my Mystery Mini Club, so there will be 60 stripes, I suppose, in all. In the pattern, I think there are 56. So it's only going to be that much longer than it should, and I don't think that's going to make a lot of difference. So that's what I'm doing with that. As I said, 50% to be eligible to enter, which I'm probably not going to do anyway. 50% has to be from stash. Well, the grey James C. Brett was from stash. I have 6 months of the Mystery Club dyed up, so that was all in stash. That makes 75% because the other 6 months I have yet to dye. So it's still eligible should I get round to entering it, which I may do. You never know. I've got into a right mess with this as well. It's all... oh gosh. Individual strands have wound themselves round the needle in different ways. So yeah. Painting Waves blanket by Stephen West, which I had planned to cast on, but I'd been going to do that with my Advent. And then I thought the Advent, there may not be enough of the Advent yarn. But in actual fact, 20 grams leaves me with this much left, which is it's just under 8 grams. So there's still enough of this left over to go into other scrappy blankets that I have. So I'm quite pleased with what I've got at the moment on the needles. As I say, there will be more going on shortly. All the patterns and all the yarn for the things that I'm proposing to cast on are coming from stash, apart from the yarn for Ewan's balaclava, because I'm willing to bet I haven't got what he wants colour wise in stash, so I may have to buy some yarn for that. But otherwise I'm kind of keeping to my goals for this year, to knit from stash patterns and yarn wise. I did buy some patterns, have bought a couple of balls of yarn. You don't need to see those. But yeah, mostly I've been sticking to what I wanted to do. So that's all I have to tell you knitting wise, really. If you'd like to enter for the 4th Podiversary pattern prize, pop seagull in the comment below. If you don't want to enter, just don't put seagull in your comment, because I'll do like a word recognition thing. So if it hasn't got seagull in it, it won't enter. That's fine. And that's everything, I think. It's got very dark again. The sun tried to come out, and then the clouds thickened, and I think we're about to have another downpour. So I'm going to go. There was one thing that I wanted to say to you, because I've been a bit flaky about recording recently. If you are subscribed and you click on the little bell that looks like it's ringing, that will tell you when I post anything, because I put up a community post saying that I was taking March off and a lot of people didn't see it. If you are subscribed and you're getting all notifications, which is what that little ringing bell means, it will tell you if I put a community post up. So if, for example, I decide I'm not feeling up to doing the rest of April, you won't have to wonder where I've gone. I'll put a note up saying, you know, feeling pretty rubbish, not going to bother. So I think that was all I had to say. Other than that, I'm very sorry I broke the weather. You have no idea how sorry I am, because Dave is off this week. He's off work. He's actually had a steroid injection in his arthritic knee, so we can't do much for a couple of days anyway. But it would have been nice to be able to sit in the garden and, well, I suppose we could still sit in the garden with umbrellas and snorkels and stuff, but as it stands, can't sit out there in the sun, and I feel it's my fault. I'm very sorry. So I'm going to go away, and I will come back and bother you next week, hopefully. And yeah, until then, sorry again about the weather. Enjoy your knitting. Bye.